Welcome back to our channel. The Monday, November 17th episode of Beyond the Gates is expected to arrive like an icy gust sweeping through Fairmont Crest, as long-buried conflicts finally rise to the surface and simmering fury explodes in ways no one anticipates. Every movement around Winterfest, an event originally meant to be a symbol of unity, instead becomes a catalyst that plants uneasiness, loss of control, and disastrous decisions in the hearts of the characters, choices that could shatter families, love, and reputations. Leslie Thomas, the woman branded as an outcast, steps into the eye of the storm, and although she tries to maintain her composure, her very presence at the festival makes old wounds in Fairmont Crest's social circle bleed again, forcing those who once called her a friend to confront the fear and betrayal they have been hiding behind polished smiles. As Leslie walks into Winterfest with the determination to prove she deserves forgiveness and acceptance, Mona Wilson is nearly petrified at the sight of the past returning in human form. For Mona, this is not just about an old friend who once caused pain, it is a haunting reminder that if Leslie is allowed back into the center of Crest society, all the secrets Mona has spent years burying could be dug up at any moment. She cannot forget the night Nicole Dupree was deeply hurt, nor can she erase the image of Leslie standing in that dangerous space between truth and lies. Even though Leslie has tried to mend fences, begged for forgiveness, and rebuild her life, that persistence sometimes makes Mona feel as if the past is chasing her with relentless footsteps. In the seemingly cheerful atmosphere of the festival, Mona wrestles with two opposing currents. Her absolute loyalty to Nicole and her fear of becoming a petty, bitter woman if she continues to hate Leslie. Yet pride takes up every available corner of her mind, making it impossible for Mona to set aside old wounds, and even harder to admit that a part of her still misses the beautiful friendship that existed before everything fell apart. While Mona's resentment rises like a tidal wave, another conflict quietly boils inside the Hamilton family. Jacob Hawthorne, straightforward by nature and fiercely protective of the woman he loves, brings up Haley's birth control situation to Bill. From clumsy observations to the warning text from the pharmacy, Jacob is convinced that Haley is hiding something that could be dangerous to her marriage to Bill. But Bill, a man known for being tough and ambitious, doesn't value Jacob's concern. He sees it as an inappropriate intrusion into someone else's private life, especially when Jacob's own marriage to Naomi is teetering on the edge. Bill's warning is more than just dismissal, it carries an implicit threat: Jacob should fix his own house before sticking his nose in another man's affairs. What Bill fails to realize is that this outright rejection pushes Jacob into a state of helplessness and humiliation, fueling his determination to pursue the truth about Haley, no matter the cost. Inside Haley Hamilton, anxiety slowly spreads as she realizes the small lies she considered harmless are beginning to create gaping cracks in the carefully constructed wall of the perfect wife persona. Telling Bill that the pills are only for hormone regulation isn't just about calming her husband, it's about hiding the fact that she does not want to try for another pregnancy. The fear of failing again, the trauma of what was lost in the previous miscarriage, and the pressure from Bill's expectant gaze all make Haley feel suffocated in the very home she calls her sanctuary. She is terrified that if Bill discovers the truth, everything will crumble. But she is just as terrified that if she continues lying, she will become the cruel, manipulative person her mother once warned her never to be. What's most frightening is that Haley can no longer distinguish between actions taken out of love and actions taken purely to retain her place in Bill's life. That inner tug-of-war propels her into Winterfest with a bewildered state of mind, trying to keep a calm face while a storm rages inside her. As Haley hides her unease, she also becomes the person Kat Richardson seeks out in a moment of despair. Kat, the black sheep of the Richardson family, is used to being underestimated and pushed out of important decisions. Her ongoing conflict with Eva has driven her close to exhaustion, and the escalating tension with Martin leaves her with no one to lean on. Kat's choice to seek Haley is not rooted in closeness, but in the strange mirror she sees in her. Another woman who knows what it's like to live in a family where every eye is watching and every mistake is magnified. Yet Haley, tangled in her own mess, cannot give Kat the clear, strong advice she's desperately hoping for. Instead, Haley's half-formed comments unintentionally deepen Kat's self-doubt, making her feel even more alone. In that moment, Kat realizes she can no longer rely on anyone else. She must stand up to Eva and Martin on her own terms, even if it means causing consequences she isn't ready to face. While relationships in Crest are stretched thin by suspicion and fear, Leslie suddenly becomes the center of an unexpected storm. Her involvement in organizing Winterfest is her final effort to show that she has changed, that the woman who once made terrible, selfish choices is gone. But Leslie's presence triggers an explosive reaction in an old friend, whose anger spirals out of control. That rage becomes the first domino in a chain reaction that threatens to tear apart the illusion of calm surrounding the festival. This friend, carrying an unwavering loyalty to Nicole, sees Leslie as a mortal threat. Months of suppressed resentment surge to the surface because of nothing more than a glance, a smile, or simply the fact that the person she cannot forgive is walking freely among them again. Meanwhile, on another narrative track, Danny Dupree and Andre Richardson are preparing to make a major financial decision. Their honeymoon in Los Angeles is not just a vacation, it's also a search for a new asset to secure their future. But their wealth, power, and unresolved emotional wounds give this decision far more layers than it appears to have on paper. Danny views the purchase of a beachfront house as a way to escape the crushing expectations of the Dupree family, where she is constantly required to maintain a flawless image and live up to every ambition set for her. Andre, on the other hand, sees it as a chance to prove he can provide stability and safety for Danny, despite past failures and lingering doubts. The difference in their motivations could easily become the seed of a new rift, especially as Danny begins to realize she doesn't want a future scripted by what Andre's family expects of them. The November 17th episode, therefore, is not just a sequence of romantic or humorous beats that viewers are used to, it is the opening move in a chaotic week in which every character is forced to confront truths they have carefully avoided. Haley's secrets begin to crack, Kat prepares for a showdown with Eva and Martin, Leslie walks into a danger zone where forgiveness does not come easily, Mona stands at a crossroads between loyalty and letting go, and Jacob edges toward an eruption after being dismissed as a meddler. The misguided choices made today may become the spark that ignites tomorrow's tragedies, as Winterfest, meant to unite the community, turns into a stage for the collapse of relationships that once looked unshakable. If anything is certain, it is that the peace of Fairmont Crest is nothing more than a thin coat of paint over fractures that can no longer be hidden. As the new week begins, every character stands on the brink of major upheaval, and even the smallest decision may unleash consequences from which there is no way back. As the lights of Winterfest slowly dim, Fairmont Crest also enters its most fragile moment. Half-hearted smiles have done enough concealing, and polite handshakes can no longer hold together the cracks spreading quickly between families and those who once called each other friends. No one dares to say it out loud, but in Crest, everyone feels that just a small tremor could make everything collapse in a chain reaction. Leslie steps back amid the dispersing crowd, feeling as though every pair of eyes is judging her, even though it is really her own fear doing the talking. Haley clutches her secret with trembling hands, knowing that just one more message could shatter the fragile shell of peace she shares with Bill. Kat stands in a defiant silence, realizing she is no longer afraid of losing anyone, because the people who once promised to stay have long since abandoned her. Jacob decides to watch Haley's every move, while Mona walks away from the festival with a heavy heart, carrying a rage she knows she will one day have to face, whether she wants to or not. The episode does not end with a visible shock, but with a sense of tension spreading like a thin mist over all of Crest. Sometimes tragedy does not come from the explosion, but from the silence before the storm. And as the new week begins, viewers understand that every bit of calm in Beyond the Gates is only temporary. The secrets are still there, the wounds are far from healed, and the wrong choices are quietly waiting for their moment to erupt, promising a string of intense days that no one in Fairmont Crest will be able to escape.